Section 88A begins a couple sections about special products, products that have shortcuts with them that we can learn. And the first one we have here is called the square of a sum. I'm going to show you how that works, and then we're going to try it. The square of a sum is when you have a binomial, a sum, and we say it's a sum because it's adding, and you square it. When that happens, in this case a plus b squared, what's really happening is you're taking a plus b times itself. Now, if you were to FOIL this, if you were to do the FOIL method that we learned before, a times a would give me a squared, a times b would give me plus ab, and then b times a would give me plus ab again, and b times b would give me plus b squared. We could then combine these like terms here to give me this, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And it's this pattern that I want you to see and to notice. If you ever have a binomial that's got a plus sign and it's squared, you can incorporate this pattern. Let's see how it works down here. You take the first term, in this case the first term is x, and you square it. That matches this one up here. You take the last term, in this case 7, and you square it, in this case 49. And the middle term is always going to be the number 2 times whatever the first term is. In our example it's x, times whatever the second term is. In our example it's 7. So 2 times x times 7 is x squared plus 14x plus 49. It's a special pattern that if you recognize, you can do these very quickly. So let's see if we can recognize the pattern down here. A plus 5 squared. That is a square of a sum. And according to the pattern up here, I can take the first term and square it. I'm going to go to the end. I'm going to take the last term. I'm going to square that. I'm going to put 2 plus signs in the front and the back, and that's exactly what the pattern says to do. But the middle term is always going to be 2 times the first term. In our case, it's a, times the last term. In our case, it's 5. So simplifying that, we get a squared plus 10a plus 25. So a plus 5 in parentheses squared will simplify to a squared plus 10a plus 25. That's using the square of a sum pattern to go from here to here quickly. Here we have another special product. This time it's called the square of a difference. The only change is that the sign between our two terms is going to be a minus sign. Now let's see how that affects our special product. Well, actually it doesn't affect it much at all. Everything is identical except for the very first sign is going to be a minus. So let me repeat. When this is a minus sign and a binomial is being squared, then this will be a minus sign. Everything else follows the pattern that we just saw in the last example. So let's go down here to this one. X minus 3 squared means take the first term and square it. The last term, square it. There's always a plus sign at the end, and in this case there'll be a minus sign at the beginning. Now what's the middle term? The middle term is always 2 times the first times the second. So x squared minus 6x plus 9. And you might even get to the point where you can see this pattern develop and you don't even have to write this step. And if that's the case, then feel free not to write it. Here we have a square of a sum. So according to our pattern, we take the first term, 4y, we square that. We take the last term, the 5, we square that. Plus sign means both of these symbols are pluses, and the middle term is 2 times the first, which is 4y, times the last. So let's simplify that. 16y squared plus, that's going to be a 40y plus 25. Now you could break this up into 4y plus 5 times 4y plus 5 and FOIL it, and you get exactly the same answer. But if you can recognize the pattern, you can save some time. Same thing here. I'm going to square the first term, so 36p squared. I'm going to square the 1, which is just a 1, plus, minus. Now the middle is going to be 2 times 6 times 1. That's going to give me a 12p. So in this one I skipped this intermediate step here and just kind of did it in my head. If you need to write this middle step, then feel free and do that. Here's a square of a sum, this time with 2 different letters, which might make it hard for some people. So I'm going to write this middle step, square the first term, square the last term, 2 plus signs, and then the middle is 2 times 8c times 3d. Simplifying 8 squared, 64c squared. This is 8 times 3 is 24 plus 2 is 48, c and d, and then plus 9d squared. So you notice the c and the d both get mixed into the trinomial, but the pattern is still the same. Here's one that might mess people up because it has exponents and you're taking it to another exponent. It's a square of a difference, so we take the first term and we square that. The last term, the 2n, we square that. Always a plus in the back. The front sign matches that sign right there, so it's a minus. In the middle we have the number 2 times 5m cubed times 2n. So we'll simplify. 5 squared is 25. M cubed squared, when you take a power to another power, you multiply those exponents. So this is 20 m cubed n, and then plus 4n squared.